Today, we're gonna be recreating and tasting 100 years of airplane food. And yeah, I rented this entire plane just for this video. Starting off with 1910, where a plane ticket only cost $5, and this is what airplanes look like. 1910 were the early days of commercial flights, and in-flight amenities were limited due to the limited space on the aircraft. Most airlines didn't even serve any food to its passengers, so a lot of people just brought on their own lunch. The flights were super short in distance, on average it's about 140 miles, so a lot of passengers just brought on simple foods. So for 1910, airline food was a simple sandwich, fresh fruits, and a cookie. All right, here's the food from 1910. I brought my friend Kareem to taste test all the decades with me, and we're gonna rate this 1 plane out of 5 planes. Okay, let's take a bite.
Let's take a bite.
Not bad. The flights weren't that long, so people would bring sandwiches just to keep them over. I would be happy with this.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a basic sandwich, but honestly, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a classic.
And I don't know why they brought fresh fruits, but
No.
I'll be happy.
I'd be happy today too.
And of course they had a cookie, which is a cookie. We all know what it tastes like. You know, I mean, for it being like one of the early flights and people bringing like a simple sandwich on board, it's not bad. I mean, I rate this a 2.5 planes out of 5.
Really, low-key, I thought it was pretty gas. It was pretty simple. I'd give it a 3 out of 5 planes.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, let's go see what 1920 has for us. We're now in the 1920s, where a plane ticket cost only $60, and this is what airplanes look like. The 1920s, airplanes introduced cabin crew to assist passengers during flights. Since airplanes were relatively new, the flight experience was not pleasant at all, and meals were actually served as a distraction. Meals were usually cold because you couldn't have heavy equipment on the plane, and weight was such a factor that they had to weigh every passenger before they were able to board the plane. So for 1920, airline food was cold fried chicken, a fruit cocktail, a chocolate bar, and hot tea. We made it to the 1920s, and they had cold fried chicken. It had to be cold because they had nothing on board to heat it up. Cheers.
Cheers, bro. Gas.
Well, listen, it's the 1920s. Like I said, this is when cabin crew was around to serve people. So this would definitely distract me from all that plane noise and turbulence, scariness during the 1920s.
It's fire.
They also served up some chocolate as dessert.
The dark chocolate is fire though. Bro, the dark chocolate is so good. It's my favorite chocolate.
Yeah, so
No, it's good, dude. I actually really like this meal.
I would be happy. I mean, the fruit cocktail, I think it's a little bit too much on the sugar. Like you already have a dessert and then they give you the fruit cocktail. It's a little sweet for me.
Let's have a little sip of tea.
The tea is a nice beverage to have. I mean, this is the 20s. I know this is cold, but I rate this dish a 3 planes out of 5.
3 planes out of 5.
Yeah,
pretty mid. I'm gonna give this a 3.5 out of 5 because it's fried chicken, my boy, and you already know me. I love me some good fried chicken, so.
So let's hop into 1930, where food gets a little bit better. We're now in the 1930s, where Disney introduced Mickey Mouse. Plane tickets cost about $75, and this is what airplanes look like. In the 1930s, airlines were still serving up cold meals, but some airlines started experimenting with more advanced dining experiences like an elaborate lounge, and that provided more room for passengers to move around and mingle. Can you just imagine being in a lounge on a plane? So in the 1930s, airline food was cold roasted chicken, vegetable salad, a bread roll, vanilla pudding, and milk. All right, this is what they had in the 1930s. The chicken was still cold because they didn't have anything on board to heat it up. All right, here I go, one bite.
All right, they're doing it to us a little bit. Simple, boring salad, you know.
I like the 1920s where we had fried chicken, you know? So let's go ahead and try our cold rotisserie chicken.
I'm not looking forward to this. Oh, bro, it's so cold. It's slimy too.
Cheers.
It's like cold roasted chicken. It's kind of slimy.
Well, like, think about it. In the 1930s, they didn't really know.
What do you mean? They had taste buds?
And then they gave like a piece of bread, which is like boring.
But you know what's interesting? I think even just the concept of airfare was so new at this time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because like now they're giving food, so people were probably like pretty excited, honestly.
Definitely. And they also gave like vanilla pudding.
And like you gotta assume like, bro, the richest people were flying. It wasn't like any, you know, it was like the richest people.
So they didn't even care about the food because it was like a status at the time. You're right.
Yeah, bro.
So the 1930s, I'm gonna rate this food a 1 out of 5 planes.
1 out of 5?
Yeah.
Bro, that's brutal.
Yeah, this whole plate is just just kind of boring to me. I don't know.
It's boring to me too, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting like healthy food out of this. I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3. I wouldn't be mad at this.
I guess. Well, let's go into 1940 and see if it's any better. Let's go. This is the beginning of World War II. A plane ticket cost about $95, and this is what planes look like.
The 1940s was the end of cold food and the introduction of heating elements like a microwave. During this decade, airline cabins were now pressurized, which meant they could fly in higher altitudes and way longer distance. And because of that, airlines were now offering way more amenities than ever before. So in the 1940s, airline food was frozen meals, usually meat, mashed potatoes and vegetables, a cookie, and hot tea.
I'm not excited about trying this out, but I guess
Bro, what is this? This looks like slop.
Yeah, look at that. Listen, I think they were just excited because they're like, we could finally have hot food on the plane.
It has this weird like bouncy texture. Like it feels like I'm literally eating a flip-flop. Like I don't know.
All right, let's try the, okay, we want to try the corn?
Corn, yeah. Corn is corn.
Yeah, they nailed it on that one.
Corn is corn.
And then let's try their dessert, because it would all come in one pack anyway, so.
All right, go. What is that, like an apple dessert?
Apple dessert, yeah. It's not bad. The apples really feel like
yeah, it's weird.
No texture.
It's soft.
Listen, if anything, I'm happy that they at least included a chocolate chip cookie and some tea. I think I would just stick to those if I was on the plane.
See, this is really saving the day right here, honestly. Because without that and that, without the corn, bro, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I know my number. We're gonna say it at the same time?
Let's say it at the same time.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Whoa! I didn't know we could do 0. All right, yeah, so 0.
I would have probably just left the air.
I would have honestly parachuted down at this point.
I would have parachuted down and left. Let's just hop over to 1950 and see what that was all about.
I really hope they give us a better like experience. I really hope they go on.
We're now in the 1950s. I Love Lucy just debuted. A plane ticket is about $105, and this is what planes look like.
In the 1950s, planes had full-blown kitchens on board, so the meals actually got way more interesting and complex. In this decade, air travel became way more accessible to the general public, and airlines saw an increased number in passengers. And that led to even more amenities like alcohol being served on the plane. So in the 1950s, airline food was pasta, a charcuterie plate, ice cream, and alcohol.
1950s looks absolutely amazing. Let's go ahead and give this a try. Cheers.
Cheers.
I mean, I'm happy. If I'm on the plane and I get some pasta like that.
It's so creamy and delicious. And they also gave us a charcuterie board.
Charcuterie board.
They gave us a sick ass
Go ahead
charcuterie
and
board.
give this a try.
Oh, we gotta do 1 cheese, 1 salami here.
Wrap
Let's
it
roll
up.
it up. Cheers. You can't beat this decade right
You
here.
really can't beat this decade.
Can't beat this decade.
I'm having a great time on the plane. I wish the plane ride would last forever because we got some whiskey here.
I don't know about all that, but
Oh, I hate whiskey. Oh.
I'm sure how a real man does it. Exquisite. That's some ice cream right here?
And then we got some ice cream to just finish everything off.
Oh yeah.
I'm loving this decade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm ready to go ahead and give this decade a 5 planes.
Chill out. Number 1. This is getting a 4 out of 5 for me. 4 planes.
All right, let's go into the 1960s and hope that this guy gives it a 5-star. 1960s, we're now in the hippie movement. A plane ticket costs about $120, and this is what airplanes look like.
In the 1960s, airline food got even better. Some airlines even hired some professional chefs to be on board and prepare the meals. Not only did airlines have a wide variety of meats like steaks and turkey, but they also served cigarettes with your meal. And yes, you were allowed to smoke cigarettes on planes in this decade. So in the 1960s, airline food was steak, carrots and asparagus, pastries, milk, and a cigarette.
Dude, this looks phenomenal.
One thing I want to point out is that every meal was served with a cigarette. Because
Get out of here. Get that. We don't smoke, bro.
They served it on the plane, so.
Oh my god, this steak looks absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
Okay,
Cheers.
cheers, buddy. You fly here often?
This is absolutely fire. I mean,
Asparagus and carrots.
I'm
sorry,
is,
it complements it perfectly.
Yeah, this is the perfect meal for when you're flying. I would be absolutely happy. And a little bit of pastry on the side. Let's give that a shot.
Incredible.
I mean,
We gotta wash it down with a little bit of milk, you know?
The milk was a weird option to put on the side with steak, but
What you mean with the pastry, bro?
you think?
Yeah.
So they weren't worried about the steak. I mean, if I gave the last decade a 5 planes, I'm gonna give this decade a 5 planes because it's absolutely amazing.
Is this gonna get the 5 for me? It gets a 5 planes. Let's go!
All right, let's go
go.
into the 70s and see if it's any better. We've made it to the 1970s. The Beatles just broke up. A plane ticket cost about $150, and this is what planes look like.
The 1970s was the peak of airline foods. I mean, they were serving lobsters on board. This was also the decade where they introduced snack service in between meals to keep passengers happy. The 70s had elegant and beautiful lounges and even a piano bar on the plane. So in the 1970s, airline food was lobster, rice, chocolate pudding, peanuts, and soda.
1970, it actually looks amazing. They actually had chefs on board on the plane. Let's go ahead and dig in.
We're eating lobster tonight.
I mean, you can't really go
My
wrong
boy.
with lobster.
My boy.
And they serve that up with some rice. Complements the lobster
Wait.
pretty well.
I'm definitely putting the lobster on the rice.
That lobster and rice has the perfect combo
Bro,
to it.
it's so good.
And they served it up with some like chocolate pudding, which I don't know how it goes really well with lobster, but
And the peanuts too? The peanuts go crazy.
not bad. To be honest with you, this meal for me, it's not the best, but it's pretty good for airplane food. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 3.5 planes out of 5.
3.5 planes out of 5.
Yeah, I'm not a lobster guy really, you know?
Bro, it's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 4 out of 5 because, bro, I'm eating lobster and rice with a pudding and peanuts, bro. You
Fair
kidding
enough,
me?
fair enough.
I'm living lavish in the skies, bro. I wish they served this today.
They can't, it's impossible. But let's go ahead and see what the 80s has for us. 1980s, where waterbeds were super popular, a plane ticket cost around $200, and this is what a plane looked like.
In the 1980s, air travel was in high demand, which meant airlines were trying to find ways to cut costs. One airline CEO saved the company $40,000 a year by removing a single olive from their meals. Due to higher demands and cost-cutting measures, dining on airlines became less glamorous and the food was really basic. So in the 1980s, airline food was plain spaghetti, vegetables, brownies, pretzels, and a soda.
Quality of food was starting to decrease here
Yeah.
because of budget cuts. So I'm not excited for this one, but let's give it a shot.
What happened, bro?
Yeah.
We were doing so good.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
I mean,
How we go from having lobster to this?
it's so underwhelming. Like, you have just plain veggies. I mean, get me off that plane.
A pretzel?
Yeah. They switched it from peanuts to pretzels because of the peanut allergy, so.
Like, you can tell something happened. Something must have shifted. I don't know.
And the only thing I would be looking forward to is always the desserts. Brownies.
Brownie, easy
I'll take
brownie.
them.
Brownie's a
Delicious.
brownie, yeah, pretty good. Struggle meal right here.
But I'm gonna go ahead and rate this decade a 1 plane out of 5.
1 plane out of 5?
Yeah, it's so underwhelming.
You know what? I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 too. I was really underwhelmed. It's just carb heavy, some veggies. I'm just not that impressed by this.
Yeah, this is what happens when you try to save money. Well,
Yep.
let's hope the 90s get just a tad bit better.
I really hope so.
Let's find out. We made it to my favorite decade, 1990, where NSYNC was formed. A plane ticket cost $245, and this is what planes look like.
In the 1990s, airlines saw a significant increase in customers, which meant they had to serve all the food in a timely fashion. And they would actually serve McDonald's to save on cooking and reheating time. So in the 1990s, airline food was McDonald's cheeseburger, McDonald's fries, applesauce, raisins, and a McDonald's milk.
Yes, they did have fast food on airplanes. And if you guys remember in the school lunch videos in the 90s, also my school was serving McDonald's as well. So
Crazy.
yeah, cheers. I can never go wrong with a McDonald's cheeseburger.
This is what America was built on right here.
And we got some French fries from McDonald's, so
Easy money.
this decade is lacking on the dessert though, because we have applesauce here, kind of boring, kind of lame,
Yeah.
but you know, and the snack that they served at the time were raisins, and I actually really hate raisins. It's my least favorite snack ever.
I like raisins. They're all right. They're
Yeah.
pretty cute. Hey, so Pat, what would you rate this?
Well, since McDonald's is one of my favorite fast foods, I give this a 5 planes out of 5. Absolute favorite decade so far.
If I was on a plane and I got McDonald's, I'd be over the moon. So this gets a 5 out of 5 for me. Let's go.
Let's hop into the next decade. The 2000s, where video games saw a rise in popularity. A plane ticket cost about $350 and a plane looked like this.
The 2000s was actually a somber decade because of 9/11. There was an increase in security which changed how food would be served on planes. No more metal utensils, only plastic. There was limited food choice to minimize potential security risks, and all the meals had to be pre-packed before they board the plane. So in the 2000s, airline food was grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, vegetables, chocolate mousse, and soda.
We made it to the 2000s. Like I said, this is a little bit of a somber decade. This is when 9/11 happened and restrictions on food got even higher. Things had to be really basic at the time. Just security was at an all-time high. So
Yeah.
let's give it a shot.
Grilled chicken.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Can't be mad at that.
Good protein.
Great protein.
Great if you hit the gym or something, you know?
A little boring, but again, like you guys have to think about it. A lot of people were afraid to fly at this decade because, so I don't think food was like, it was just like, just get me fed. Let's just get to our destination. You know, but listen, the touch that they gave was at least a chocolate mousse. Like they gave out chocolate mousse. I love chocolate mousse. So that in itself, I'm excited for.
I don't really care for chocolate mousse.
Wow.
I don't like creamy things in my mouth like that, you know?
Everything considered with this decade, I give this a rating of a 3 plane out of 5. Decent meal, gets you fed, satisfies you.
I mean, I can see what you're saying, but in terms of how it tasted, this is a 2 out of 5 for me. I'm super bored.
I mean, you can't beat the 90s, you know?
You can't really beat the McDonald's, huh?
Yeah, McDonald's. Now let's hop into our last decade and see what it's got.
I'm excited. Let's go.
Oh, we've arrived to our last decade, the 2010s, where Instagram was born. An average plane ticket cost about $450, and a plane looked like this.
In the 2010s, more airlines started accommodating for special dietary restrictions. The option for snacks improved due to the lack of taste in the meals. On-demand dining became more popular, and passengers didn't have to wait for set times to eat dinner, but that would also come at a premium price. So in the 2010s, airline food was a vegetarian sandwich, yogurt, Biscoff cookies, and water.
We have finally made it to our last decade, so we're gonna go ahead and try our veggie sandwich.
Veggie sandwich. I'm so excited. Hey, the crunch though, that's a premium crunch.
Oh, I gotta say, I'm surprised.
That low-key slaps. That slaps.
It's super refreshing. It's very light. I can see myself liking this on the plane because then I'm not sitting there feeling heavy.
Yeah.
And then also the introduction of Biscoff cookies. If you guys fly frequently, you guys know these cookies. They're absolutely delicious.
These cookies are banging.
Oh,
That little cinnamon hit, crazy.
amazing, yeah.
Crazy.
Love that. They got a side of yogurt
Yogurt's
and
delicious.
water. Like this is,
It's simple. It's actually
very
pretty
simple.
good.
Can it be better? Can it be pizza? Yes, it can.
Could
But
have been pizza, but
I'm gonna go ahead and go right down the middle and give this a 2.5 out of 5.
I get where you're coming from, but honestly, I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason for that is because if I'm a vegetarian right now, I'm over the moon. I'm getting
Yeah.
lotus cookies,
Yeah.
I'm getting yogurt, I'm getting a little like veggie sandwich. Like
Yeah.
it's easy.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
For sure.
Cool. And that was 100 years of airplane food. Let me know which one was your favorite decade, and I gotta go return this plane, so I'll see you in the next one. Brian, turn it up. Guys, this is a real plane.